Hello, and thanks for joining us for this special edition of Cronkite News. I'm Alexis Dukrath. Tonight, some of our teams reporting on the Future Beat, how advances in science, technology, and society are changing our state and our world for the generations to come.
We Arizonans enjoy Uber and Lyft to get around, and even Postmates when we're hungry. But Jolani Martinez explains the newest delivery app that's fueling the need of commuters in Southern California, which may be headed our way.
As a part-time Uber and Lyft driver, Rudy Espinoza was caught a bit off guard by his next job offer.
When I was asked to come on board and they explained to me the concept of what they had going, I found it kind of like unusual. Like, well, who would want to get gas?
It began in 2015 when CEO Bruno Hazan was looking for a way to reduce the time Angelino spent behind the wheel.
I started really purple that way, how we can help saving time for consumers.
In a city legendary for its traffic, an app for a gas delivery seemed like a smart road to take for the tech entrepreneur.
Requesting a gas refuel is as easy as registering your car, location, selecting the type of fuel you want, and how soon you need it.
Time to pump.
You must also keep your gas tank open in case carriers can't access it from the outside. Espinoza likes how the job can be done without bothering the customer.
I just don't want them to know that I came and filled up their car. I just want them to turn it on and see it full and say, wow, that's great.
While convenient, for some, it's just not worth the service charge, which ranges from $3.99 to $5.99, depending on how quickly you need to fuel up.
Yeah, if somebody comes to your car and puts gas in your car, you should pay him for that service. But it's not something that I would do necessarily.
The company hopes to expand soon, and Espinoza suspects Arizona will be on the list.
But I think Phoenix would be a big city area where people come into work and they forget to put gas. And that's usually what happens. People come in, forget to put gas in their car and say, darn it, now I gotta go get gas.
So instead of pulling into the station, simply pull out your phone for a price. In Los Angeles, Jolani Martinez, Cronkite News.
The Women's March in Phoenix and across the country brought together women of all ages. I met a group from Sun City who has spent decades fighting for their rights, and they hope younger women will appreciate their sacrifice. 50 Sun City women and a few supportive husbands gathered in a crowded parking lot on a cold January morning.
We're getting ready to march for women's rights and human rights.
They boarded a bus bound for the Capitol.
All over this land, I sing it in the morning.
The majority are retired, but still active politically. On the way, signs of progress, including a street named after the first female governor of Arizona. At the march, the Sun City women joined a crowd of 20,000.
It's a very enthusiastic, gung-ho group of women who make me really proud to be getting older.
What do you think about all the different generations of women out here?
Isn't that exciting?
That was not the kind of job that women could have at that time.
Once home, they reflected on how far they've come and fears about the clock being turned back.
And I am very, very concerned about abortion rights.
Memories of a time when abortion was not legal.
She just killed herself.
Oh.
So again, she was lost and a baby was lost.
And women were denied the same career opportunities as men.
I switched to something that I thought would be an acceptable career for a woman.
They would assume I was there to get them coffee.
He says, sure, Shirley, baby.
Above all, a warning for the next generation.
We just need to keep and cherish our rights. And we need to understand that they weren't received that long ago.
Many of these women say that their children and grandchildren cannot fathom the barriers they faced. One woman told me she was not able to take out a car loan without her husband or father's permission.
94% of all traffic-related accidents are caused by human error. Self-driving car companies claim not having a driver behind the wheel can actually be safer. Reporter Natalie Tarangioli learned more about the future of these cars and a company that's test driving them in Chandler.
We need to take the human out of the driving equation.
Cars of the not-so-distant future are here.
Couldn't have done much better myself.
Autonomous cars are being test-driven all over the country, including Chandler.
We improve safety by removing the driver. We're not drunk, we're not distracted. We can see 360 degrees around us. The average human can see about 120 degrees.
Pull over planned. Futurist Brian David Johnson believes the self-driving car revolution will be big, even bigger than the advancement of smartphones.
I mean, maybe you could look at the equivalent of, say, railroads, or the railroad, because it's so tied not only who we are culturally, but it's tied to our technology, it's tied to our economy.
Johnson says autonomous cars improve safety by removing the driver, which is initially a scary thought for some people.
Early on, maybe 8 years ago, when I started talking to people about self-driving cars, they were horrified by it. They would ask me questions that were basically similar to the robot apocalypse, that they were losing their freedom, they were losing control.
My dream is really that everybody's in a self-driving car. I think it makes the roads safer. I think that it gives people their mobility back. I also think it gives people their time back.
Johnson predicts it'll be up to 10 years until the cars are more culturally accepted.
For that generation who's now sitting in that car seat in the back seat, they're going to be the ones who would ask themselves, why would you ever have a human drive the car?
In Chandler, Natalie Tarangioli, Cronkite News.
Senator Jeff Flake came out with his annual waste book this month, and a Massachusetts college fell on that list for their game design program. Reporter Danielle Kernkamp found out what that could mean for the video game industry in Arizona.
This year's waste book, titled Porkymon, contains 50 examples of what Senator Flake calls egregious spending. One of them is a $36,700 grant from the Environmental Protection Agency that went to a program designed to, quote, engage kids in an environmental conversation through the popular video game Minecraft. But many gamers in Arizona say using video games to learn is the opposite of a waste.
Sorry, I got totally distracted playing this game. I can't play and talk.
Kelly Tran has been gaming since she was a kid, and now she's writing her dissertation on Pokemon Go.
There's so many things I like about gaming.
However, she's concerned that Senator Jeff Flake's annual waste book may have a negative effect on the gaming industry in Arizona.
The thing is, all of the work that goes into it, somebody had to design graphics for that game, somebody had to make the music, somebody had to program it.
Jim G., the author of What Video Games Have to Teach Us About Learning and Literacy, says support for the video game industry is especially important for Arizona because it's not ranked as high as other states.
For us, it's particularly crucial not to dampen or endanger the people that are really pioneering this here, because this is getting us into industries that are very important for the future.
Ben Riker is a professor at the University of Advancing Technology in Tempe and founder of Game Collab, and says he's received important grants from the city of Phoenix.
Those grants, I worked with over 10 different startup teams, had multiple folks on those teams, and several of those, about 5 of those, have now gone to market with their games.
Tran says that people can sometimes underestimate the social aspect of video games.
There's a lot of learning that can happen through games, and there's a lot of family bonding and friend bonding that can happen.
This example in Flake's wastebook ended with, quote, instead of pouring money down the drain in virtual worlds, EPA should target resources to fixing real problems in the real world. Some of the other examples of federal spending that Flake called outrageous and wasteful include a $450,000 study to determine if dinosaurs could sing and a $2.4 million study to learn how to be more popular online. In the broadcast center, Danielle Kernkamp, Cronkite News.
How would you design the city of the future? Cronkite News reporter McKenna Delgarno introduces us to the teams working on that at the 20th anniversary of the Arizona Future City competition.
Grandpa, I want to see this one over here.
The Arizona Future City Competition is an event where 6th, 7th, and 8th graders design model cities. This year's theme was the power of public space. David Ellingson, the co-coordinator for the Arizona Future City region, says the competition is open to anyone in the age bracket.
It's open to homeschool students, parochial schools, public schools, charter schools. There's no restrictions to enter. We have no barriers. We've had Boy Scout groups, even clubs can come and participate with us.
This year's winners, the Veritas homeschoolers, look to South America for inspiration.
So this is our Reviva Quito. It's the revived city of Quito, Ecuador. So we basically built this 1-inch to 50-foot scale representation of our
city. The most challenging part, I think, was really the mountain on the right side, actually. We originally had a scale of 1 inch to 100 feet set, and our engineering mentor told us that's not right. You have some serious cliffs in your city.
These students met for the past 2 months almost every day to create this model.
I learned about the general planet in my history class.
Engineers from across the valley volunteered their time to help judge the competition.
I think this introduces a lot of kids to different levels of engineering that they didn't know existed.
Jeremy, Adriana, and Madison will head to D.C., where they will compete in the national competition from February 18th to the 21st. In Tempe, McKenna Delgarno, Cronkite News.
New technology is helping people who may suffer from anxiety and ADHD. Alexa Arms talks to the creator of Buzzies to find out more about the science behind what makes them work.
Most of the time, I'm just kind of worried about everyday, like, homework, what's going to happen tomorrow.
Anxiety disorders are the most common mental illness in the United States, affecting nearly 18% of the population.
When people are self-regulating, when people aren't stressed out, they perform better, they make better decisions, they sleep better, their overall health is better.
For decades, people have turned to bilateral stimulation as a way to deal with difficult situations. The therapy helps distract the brain so that information can be processed in a new, less distressing way. Normally, sessions are performed in a doctor's office, but Dr. Amy Sarin has found a way to make these treatments mobile.
What I did that was new was improve some of the technology, the waveform, and the delivery method to give access to people outside of doctors' offices.
Sarin says that bilateral stimulation can help with PTSD, OCD, anxiety, sleeping disorders, and even keep you focused in the classroom. Buzzies interferes with the way the body responds to stress by sending signals to the brain.
It just gives you that calming sensation that you just can't find a lot of times.
Since discovering Buzzies in December, Jennifer Childress and her 2 daughters have noticed a difference.
The therapies help, but there's always the day-to-day crisis moments where you need that help.
Buzzies can be worn on the wrists or in your pocket and are activated by an app on your phone. More than 2,000 sets have already been shipped out in the last month. In Peoria, Alexa Arms, Cronkite News.
As of now, Buzzies are only available online. You can visit their website at www.buzzies.com. The city of Scottsdale has a population of about 200,000. That number will more than double on Saturday as fans fled TPC Scottsdale for the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Cronkite News reporter Tyler Pally found out what safety precautions are now being taken by authorities at this year's event.
For many, the Waste Management Phoenix Open is more than a golf tournament. It's a party. But tournament chairman Andy Markham said it's important for fans to remember why they're actually there.
We want to just remind people that we should respect the fans, respect the players, and respect the game, and just take golf to where it originally started and come out and have a good time and enjoy, but let's be safe.
Scottsdale Police Sergeant Ben Hoster says the ever-increasing popularity of the greenest show on grass, coupled with the tournament's proximity to a large collegiate population, underage drinking is one of the event's biggest challenges for authorities.
It's an issue that we do see here and we pay attention to.
Hoster said there will be cameras all around TPC Scottsdale, monitored by law enforcement, as well as jails set up around the course, including one near the famous 16th hole.
If someone gets arrested out by 16, we have a temporary jail tent that's set up out there, and then our jail staff will come out on carts and they'll cart them back to our jail center, which is up on the Hayden Bridge.
While declining to give specific numbers, Hoster said hundreds of people were arrested last year. Scottsdale Police and Fire Departments are leading the joint effort to combat overconsumption of alcohol and underage drinking. Hoster said he expects the event to break last year's record of more than 618,000 fans, but he has a message to all those who come out this year.
With over almost 200,000 people on Saturdays, we can't catch everybody, so we do our best, and those folks that are unfortunate enough to deal with the police that are underage have to deal with the consequences.
Federal agencies, including the FBI and ATF, will also be at the event as precautionary measures, as well as hazmat units from around the valley. In Scottsdale, Tyler Paley, Cronkite News.
Aviation Day is held at the Capitol Building every year to promote and celebrate the aviation industry in Arizona. Cronkite News reporter Alexis Dukrath shows us one aircraft that stole the show.
For one day out of the year, aviation takes center stage on the Capitol lawn. From hot air balloon baskets to the sheriff rescue helicopter, there is something for everybody. This year, one booth in particular attracted a lot of traffic.
Today we're just doing an exhibit showcasing all of the different SUAS types of equipment and opportunities. It's a booming industry and we wanted to show the public a little bit more about it.
SUAS stands for Small Unmanned Aerial Systems, or what's more commonly known as a drone.
Have your little white drone. People are very familiar with those. It's the one that Dad gets for Christmas. A lot of guys go out and do great films and photos with those.
I loved going to take desert shots, sunset shots, and then flying around over cactus.
But drones can be used for so much more.
We're working with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, providing agriculture science studies. We're working with civil engineers to improve infrastructure. We're actually working in other countries like Costa Rica doing ecological studies and preservation down there.
Getting kids excited about the aviation industry is a big plus.
I think the biggest reason for us coming here today is just to continue to excite the public about SUAS and more or less showcase all the capabilities, and there's a lot of kids running around here too. They're our future.
I mean, it's awesome. It's aviation. It's pretty much everything we live for.
Not only does this event show off cool technology, it brings aviation fanatics together. In Phoenix, Alexis Ducraft, Cronkite News.
Last year, Governor Doug Ducey, under legislation, barred cities and towns from making their own rules when it comes to regulating drone usage. Drone owners must now register under the FAA.
ASU students at the Polytechnic campus recently delivered digital learning libraries to third world countries like Tonga using a device called Solar Spell in a partnership with the Peace Corps. Cronkite News reporter Cassidy McDonald shows us how the digital libraries work without internet connection.
At ASU's Polytechnic campus, Assistant Professor Laura Hossman and her team of 11 students are building solar-powered digital learning libraries for third world countries.
Solar Spell is a ruggedized, portable, offline digital library designed for school children, teachers, and even community members in places where they don't have electricity, internet connectivity, frequently textbooks, but certainly not a library.
The team has a partnership with the Peace Corps, and they give the Solar Spell libraries to volunteers who are stationed in schools for 2 years.
With the mission of teaching English and training teachers not only on how to use technology, but on other professionalization skills.
The Spell is actually a fairly simple device. It charges off of a solar panel, which then connects into a microcomputer, and then you are ready to start using the device. Osman says that they have more than 100 solar spells in 4 Pacific Island countries, including Vanuatu, Samoa, Micronesia, and Tonga.
Students here come up with every part about the library, from the content to the hardware. They get to build them, and then we travel to the places where these libraries are going.
James Larson is involved in the project and went to Tonga over winter break to work directly with Peace Corps volunteers and the solar spells.
It was useful in kind of developing our sense of human-centered design and kind of getting in the mind of the users of our product. We worked with various student groups, and while we were there, and built some of these devices with them.
Hossman says that she hopes the libraries will go in third world countries across the globe.
My big goal over the next few years would be to have one of these in the hands of every Peace Corps volunteer that's on the ground around the world.
In Mesa, Cassidy McDonald, Cronkite News.
This year, the Solar Spell team will travel to 2 third world countries, Vanuatu and Samoa, to check up on the progress of how their digital libraries are being utilized.
According to a recent study, 81% of consumers are aware of smart homes, but only 26% want one. Cronkite News reporter Farai Bennett takes a look inside where many residents are adapting to their home technology.
When it comes to finding new tenants at Vistara Santan Village, Tamara Cade has technology on her side. She says the Gilbert Apartments are among the first tech smart complexes in the valley where everything is controlled with the touch of your phone.
The idea came from our ownership group, partnered with Claire Controls, in order to make, a smart home come to the apartment industry, just to make people's lives a little bit easier.
Within the click of a button, you have automatic access to your thermostat, lights, locks, and even music.
It's for everyone every day. Everyone does business from their phone now. They do, they shop from their phone. Why can't they just control their apartment home from their phone as well?
Open just 6 months, Cade says Vistara has leased more than half of its units, which start at $1,000 a month for one bedroom. But Scottsdale real estate broker Kim Hansen says in the housing market, the demand for smart homes is slower.
Cost is going to have to be important. I think that as technology grows, as we learn more, as things change, I do think that, obviously price point and ease of use are going to be the two big things.
Hansen says the housing market also caters to baby boomers and above, an age group that might not care about having the latest gadgets. But back at Vistara, Kate is happy to let technology lend a hand toward new customers. In Gilbert, Farai Bennett, Cronkite News.
The first pediatric flu-related death this year was reported in Arizona yesterday. The child was under the age of 2 and had other health issues. Flu cases are on the rise in Arizona, and a new app to track the flu is being tested in Maricopa County. Reporter Kanak Jha tells us about the data the app could provide.
Community is an app that provides real-time data about flu cases in your city. It can show you what age groups are affected, who's at risk, and where to find medical attention. The key now is to see if communities are interested in using this tool.
This is a routine flu shot, but the illness is anything but routine for the thousands of people who die from influenza every year in the U.S. Now there's an app to track the flu. Community is designed by Quidel, a California-based health diagnostics company, and it's being tested in Maricopa County. Even skeptics say information is important when it comes to healthcare.
I think it's a very important thing for people to stay notified of the potential risks. It's not something that I think I would use personally, but it is something that I think would be beneficial for a lot of people.
Dr. John Tamarius, who is a senior vice president of Quidel, says Community can help keep local communities educated about who is at risk for the flu.
Today, just looking at Community, the app, I've learned that Arizona, for the first time this year, has very high levels of influenza.
Tamarius says so far 5,000 people have used the beta version of the app. Macrina Leach from the Maricopa County Health Department says flu cases are expected to rise over the next 2 weeks, and the information could be helpful.
Well, I think we're a huge county. We're a little over 4 million people. I think we're a very mobile community. I think we have really excellent data here, so that would be helpful.
Economites might not use the app, but he says staying current on health issues is important for his infant son.
It's not something that I think I would use personally, but it is something that I think would be beneficial for a lot of people.
Flu information is available around the country on Community, but Maricopa County is the base site for testing and tweaking the app. In the broadcast center, Kanak Jha, Cronkite News.
Some college students in the East Valley are 3D printing bigger than ever before. Reporter Amanda Luberto shows us just what they can do.
When you walk into the Innovation Hub on the Polytechnic campus of Arizona State, arrows greet you. Choose any one and it takes you to an engineer's playground where they have woodcutters, lasers, and 3D printers small and large. Sean Dangler is the lab manager and says he thinks of the lab as innovative prototype building.
They're using 3D printing with laser cutting, with vacuum forming, with the wood router to make an overall project. And they might even throw wiring in there, Arduinos.
Riley Chicky, student technician, comes to the lab either for class projects or personal time. He's printed lots of different things, but some more impressive than others.
What I have here is a set of totally 3D printed tank tracks for a robot that goes into third world countries and finds landmines. What it is it's a bunch of individually printed links that are then pinned together with the same filament used to print them.
Once students are trained, they have full access to the lab and its equipment. It's up to them to come up with the ideas. Students in the Innovation Hub can use the 3D printers behind me to make little parts and make moving cars. And they can even use the lasers in here to etch things in plastic or even carve things out of wood. Because resources aren't really an issue, students have complete creative control to decide what the lab can do. The future of the Innovation Hub is bright. They just received a $2 million printer that not only prints in metals, but a molecular microscope to look at how they can print metal more efficiently. In Mesa, Amanda Luberto, Cronkite News.
It's as easy as swiping left or swiping right. The way people meet and date has changed, and not in the age group you might expect. Cronkite News reporter Alexis Stukrath explains the changes and what that means for relationships as a whole.
Dating in the 21st century has changed the playing field. According to the Pew Research Center, online dating is more acceptable than it was even a decade ago.
With the advent of thousands of online dating websites, you can find out a lot about all kinds of things about people before you ever meet.
And 15% of U.S. adults have used online dating sites or mobile dating apps.
I started on a dating app because my best friend insisted I sign up and was tired of me not having 2 kids as well and being married.
The rise in the use of online dating has risen especially in older individuals. 12% of 55 to 64-year-olds have ever used online dating sites or mobile apps. Christina Duggan is in her 30s and decided to sign up for the app Bumble, where the woman has to start the conversation.
I'm at a different stage of my life where I'm young and just new. I didn't just move here. I've been here for a while. I have an established career. And maybe it is meeting a person who is also at that same stage in life is going to help me.
To find a perfect match, you need to find your perfect app. But
there's so many options, you hardly know what to pick.
Kind of felt like I was grocery shopping online for my soulmate.
No matter which way people decide to date, Duggan admits that having the conversation go from online to in person could prove difficult. In Phoenix, Alexis Stukrath, Cronkite News.
Thanks for joining us for this special Future Beat edition of Cronkite News. For top stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org and follow us on Facebook and Twitter.